So this is an article that I saw on Vox the other day that I was again, this is another instance of me like looking on my phone while I'm like laying in bed. And I saw this article yesterday and I was like, I need to do a reaction video to this article right here. I need to do a reaction video. White women's role in white supremacy explained. Women at the Capitol are just the latest reminder of a long history. So, do you guys want to see me do a live reaction to this article right now? Like, type yes into the chat or Y or whatever. Hit Y in the chat if you want me to do a live reaction to this article right now. We're going to see. You guys are going to vote. If you don't want me to do it, I won't do it. But I will do it if you want me to do it. And I see lots of support for the petition in the chat. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yes, 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 yes. All right. Looks like I'm doing a live reaction to this crazy, crazy Vox article. All right. Now, I haven't read it. I haven't, so I really do have no idea what I'm going to find. This is a true reaction video. Let's get started. It's tempting to think of the storming of the U.S. Capitol on Wednesday as toxic masculinity run amok. A mob of mostly white men carrying guns and wearing animal skins and trying to overthrow democracy on behalf of a president who once bragged about his ability to grab women by the pussy. Now, I want to say that being as I was actually at the Capitol, I actually never thought of it as a mob of mostly white men. In fact, my first reaction to the Capitol was that I thought it was amazing to see all these older ladies there. I thought it was fabulous. Like, these women were just like out, they were like chanting and wanted their voices heard. And I thought the older ladies in particular were fantastic. So clearly whoever wrote this article wasn't actually at the Capitol or has probably never been to any Trump rally ever, because it has never been a mob of like old white men. That is such a lie. It's even more tempting to embrace this narrative when, in a bizarre statement, that president's campaign secretary described him as the most masculine person, I think, to ever hold the White House. Did Trump's press secretary really say that? That Trump was the most masculine man to ever hold the White House? That's hilarious. But focusing too much on masculinity obscures the critical truth. Many women were either present at the riot or cheering on the insurrectionists from back home. There was Ashley Babbitt, the 35-year-old Air Force veteran and apparent devotee of that crazy conspiracy theory that we're not going to actually name because I'll get demonetized, who was killed during the riot. There was his mother photographed with zip tie guy Eric, another now believed to be his mother. There was Martha Chansley, the mother of the widely photographed conspiracy theory shaman, who wore a horned hat and carried a spear to Congress. She wasn't present at the riot, but later defended her son in an interview, calling him a great patriot, a veteran, a person who loves this country. Now, of course, they don't talk about all the average people that were there. You know what's really pissing me off about this entire thing is Facebook and Instagram have deleted any posts that I have made showing that most people there were peaceful. Most people there weren't doing anything. Most people were standing around, except for one. I finally got one to stay up the other day. I posted a picture of just tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of people from, I was standing on the Capitol lawn, and I'll actually bring it up. I'll show it to you guys real quick, because I think this is important. Hang on. I'll bring it up on my Instagram, assuming they haven't removed it in the half hour since okay, here it is. So I posted this picture, and this is the only picture that they haven't taken down, which you can see just like thousands and thousands and thousands of people. This was taken on the lawn of the Capitol, and you can see that crowd goes all the way down to the Washington Monument, and that's the only one that they haven't taken down yet. But I digress. What I'm really trying to get at is the media doesn't want you to know that the vast majority of people there were not doing anything. We're perfectly peaceful. And anyone who's ever been to any Trump event at all knows that there's no violence at these things. Now, I'm not one of those people that is out there saying that it was Antifa and BLM and they were the only ones agitating. I'm not saying that because it's not the truth. Okay, watch Elijah Schaffer, Slightly Offensive. He goes through this. He details all the video he has, and he shows you that it wasn't just Antifa and BLM. That is a lie. That is not true. Were they there? 100%. Some of them have already been arrested. Where they were absolutely there, but they were not the only ones agitating. But that doesn't actually negate the fact that hundreds of thousands of people were there and were completely peaceful and weren't doing anything, but they don't want you to see that. And of course, there are the women lawmakers who boosted conspiracy theories and false claims about the election being stolen, including Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, a conspiracy theory adherent who railed against Democrats and Black Lives Matter protesters in a speech on the floor last week while wearing a mask reading censored. Does Vox understand that Marjorie Taylor Greene can rail on Democrats and Black Lives Matter and that's not a conspiracy theory? Like, that's real? It's really like they're trying to paint everyone who doesn't like the Democrats or BLM as these crazy kooky conspiracy theorists. No, dude, Q people are insane. They're insane. I'm so sick of these people. I thought that they were harmless at first, and now I know that they're absolutely not harmless, that they're crazy and will act and do actually believe that they're in. I don't even know. Like, it's so sad what's happened to these people that have gotten so sucked into this crazy conspiracy theory, because they really believe that this is a battle of good versus evil, and they are in this army defending this country, and they're doing crazy stuff because of it. But you can think that that is crazy, and at the same time say the Democrats and BLM are also crazy. Both of those things can actually be true at the same time. Colorado Representative Lauren Boebert, meanwhile, described January 6th as 1776 before the riot began, live tweeting from the House during the attack, including a mention that Speaker Nancy Pelosi had been removed from the chambers and this week refused to allow police to search her bag after it set off metal detectors inside Congress. During her campaign, she promised to bring a gun with her to the House. Good for her, man. I like both of them. I think both of them are sassy as hell. And then, of course, they've got some images here. Many women were either present at the riot or cheering on the insurrectionists from back home. Oh my God. If we ignore the importance of women in the Capitol riot, we can't understand white supremacy in America. These people are nuts. White women have been a part of white supremacy in America since the very beginning, experts point out, dating back to their roles in slavery. They were at the table when the system was designed, says a history professor at UC Berkeley, author of the book They Were Her Property, White Women as Slave Owners in the American South. They were co-architects of this. So now they're comparing any woman who is not a Democrat to women who own slaves. Do they have any self-awareness to know that Abraham Lincoln was a Republican and there was the Democrats who wanted to keep slavery? I don't think so. That remained true after the Civil War, through the birth and evolution of the Ku Klux Klan, and during the Civil Rights Movement, when white women were some of the most vocal opponents of school integration. It remains true today, where women hold a key role in spreading the crazy conspiracy theory ideology and sustaining white nationalist groups and movements. Like other part of our economy and societies, these movements would collapse without their labor. Sometimes I just read stuff that's so insane that I just have no reaction other than to laugh at it. I'm sorry. And if we ignore the importance of women in the Capitol riot and the groups backed and enabled it, we can't understand white supremacy in America, let alone dismantle it. Try to fight racism in America without looking at white women, Jones Rogers says, is like addressing the right side of the body while the left side is still sick. This all harkens back to like Robin DiAngelo. Robin DiAngelo in White Fragility has a whole chapter titled White Women's Tears. These people hate women. This is ridiculous. They're actually trying to get rid of women. I mean, I just don't understand it. Yeah, someone in the chat says, hang on, I'll get up on the screen. This sounds like Titania McGrath or The Onion. This is not. This is real. A person really wrote this. White women have been part of white supremacy from the beginning. White women's investment in white supremacy is older than the United States itself and goes back to their role in the economy of slavery. Though white women would have been seen by some historians as passive bystanders to the brutalities of slavery, they were, in fact, active participants, as Joan Rogers explains, and they were her property. Before the Civil War, white women had little economic and political power, with one big exception. They could buy and sell enslaved people. Well, in theory, they could do that if they had the permission and support of their husbands. Women in this country couldn't even get a credit card until like the back half of like the 20th century, man. Like, what are they talking about? They had to have the support of their husband in order to do anything, or their parents, I suppose. And they did so using enslaved people as a way of building up wealth so they could not simply be transferred to a husband in marriage. What evidence do they have to back this up? This is absurd. Slavery gave white women freedom, autonomy, and agency that they could not exercise in their lives without it. So they were deeply invested in it. These people are just making up history. This is like the 1619 Project. This is not real. Dude, I studied the Civil War. This is not real. Oh my God. And after the Civil War, white women didn't simply give up on white supremacy. Instead, as Jones Rogers put it, they doubled down. For many, that meant becoming active participants in the KKK. At one point, had 1.5 million female members. Now, let's just back up for a second. The Anti-Defamation League today estimates that there are about 3,000 total members of the KKK. So let's just keep that in mind when we're talking about 1.5 million women in the KKK. These are completely different times. What happened in the early 1900s does not bear resemblance to what is happening today, Vox. Some women took leadership roles like Elizabeth Tyler, who helped revive the Klan in the 1910s and became its most important propagandist, according to Darby. Women became oh my God. These people are really trying to make you think that any woman who was in DC on January 6th is a member of the Klan. All right. Women became especially important in the Klan once they gained the right to vote. After that, white men began to see their wives, daughters, sisters, and other women in their lives as potential allies in the effort. Dude. Women got the right to vote in what, 1920? Do you really think that men in 1920 saw women as allies in the way that they mean it today? No. The answer is no. They saw the women in their lives as potential allies in the efforts to politicize white supremacy. They began to see them as a voting bloc. Most women didn't want to vote. That is a fact. That is a historical fact. Most women at that time did not even want the right to vote because it came with like other obligations. Those images are crazy, man. That's crazy. Crazy in that, like, it disturbs me to see these images. Like, that's the, I mean, and again, the fact that they're showing these images of women in the Klan right alongside women who are at a freaking rally under an American flag, wearing an American flag. Yeah, that's absolutely the. Are they actually saying that the American flag is a Klan robe? Is that the implication that, like, am I drawing too much? Is that an implication that they're actually making here? I think it probably is. And it wasn't just because of organizations like the Klan that white women invested in institutional racism. They also played a core role in lynching by making false allegations of sexual harassment or assault, which were then used as a pretext to murder black men. Well, that actually, there is some truth to that, actually. And they were key players in the fight against the integration in the schools, with white women using their role as mothers to legitimize the victimization of black children. And again, like, the language they're using, it makes it seem like all white women were doing this, which is, of course, fundamentally not true. Indeed, throughout the 20th century, though white women could no longer profit from slavery, they were still deriving real benefits from white supremacy, namely a sense of social and political power in a world still dominated by white men. Through lynchings, your words have the power of life and death over an African American descended man. Your vote could secure a place in state, in the government, for white supremacy. This is crazy. I'm just going to see how long this article is. Okay, we got a couple more paragraphs. That's fine. In essence, through white supremacy, white women came to understand themselves as individuals who could wield a certain kind of power these men have to respect. So they're actually arguing that White supremacy is the only reason that women had Does anyone else think that this is like does anyone else see how absurd this argument is that white supremacy is literally the only thing that gave women power? This is crazy. And that dynamic continued into the 21st century. The landscape of white supremacy has changed, with the Klan no longer being a major player, though it still exists. Today, white nationalism is less about specific groups and more about an ideology that people subscribe to from the comfort of their own desks. Okay, here's how they make the transition between, yeah, we're going to acknowledge that there really aren't that many people in the Klan now, but that doesn't really matter because we have Trump supporters to blame everything on. Because of that, it's hard to measure exactly how many women were involved in white nationalism. It's easier to measure attitudes. Overall, about 20% of white Americans of all genders feel a sense of discontent over the status of white people in society, Darby writes, and Sisters in Hate, drawing in the work of political scientist Ashley Jardina. And women are actually, how are they defining discontent? They feel a sense of discontent. How are they even defining this? That's completely vague. It doesn't mean anything. And the women are actually more likely than white men to hold exclusionary views about what it means to be an American, preferring boundaries around the nation's identity that maintain it in their image. Okay, I want to see the research that backs that up. Of course, they haven't cited that there. And while this may not always be in front of rallies or riots, women remain important recruiters and propagandists. I bet they would define me as a propagandist. You guys think that they would type Y in the chat if you think that they would define me as a propagandist? What do you think? Am I a white woman nationalist propagandist in the eyes of Vox? Adrian says what? No, there go all the Y's. Jay says Y plus. I think so too. Guys, if you think I would be considered a white woman propagandist according to Vox.com, this is a good time to hit the like button to show your support for my Sunday afternoon mimosa propaganda. So hit that like button if you please and thank you. All right. But Erica Alduno, for example, had a key role in organizing the infamous Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. She was one of the. Okay, so I want to make a point, and I didn't support the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. I thought that was nonsense, to be really honest. But let's just make a point. They're trying to say that white women have a role in organizing these things today. Well, at the same time, they try to make the argument that the right systematically keeps women down and oppresses them. So you have to choose one, Vox. Are women oppressed by the right, or is the right putting them into leadership positions? You have to choose one. You can't choose both, man. You have to choose one. Are they oppressed or are they leaders? Pick. She was the one directing traffic on messaging apps and answering mundane but important questions like whether there would be a shuttle bus to the rally. She did not speak at the event, but that's not the point. Darby says, whether women are seen or not seen, they are important actors in the space. Women have also been central to organizing pro-Trump events. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We just made the leap, folks. We made the leap from the Klan to white nationalists to Trump. Look how they did that. It was like so seamless. Women have also been central to organizing pro-Trump events that spread false information that the election was stolen. The group Women for America First organized a term I'm not going to say because I might get demonetized, for thousands in November and also received a permit for the rally at the Capitol on January 6th, according to the Washington Post. And yeah, I mean, Women for America, like Kylie Kramer is the one that headed up the rally. She's annoying as shit. But a white supremacist, she is not. Annoying, yes. A white supremacist, no. Meanwhile, women have taken an even more visible role in the rise of the crazy conspiracy theory, an ideology that began with conspiracy theories about Trump battling a cabal of liberals involved in child sex trafficking. Blah, blah, blah. Conspiracy stuff. I'm not going to read that. We all know that that is crazy. Meanwhile, Ashley Babbitt, the woman who was killed by the police at the Capitol riot and had been posting conspiracy related content on social media for nearly a year prior to the insurrection, according to The Guardian. The day before the riot, she tweeted a defiant message full of slogans. Nothing will stop us. They can try and try, but the storm is here. It is descending on DC in less than 24 hours. Dark to light. Yes. Okay. Can we all agree, or most of us agree, that people involved in this particular movement have lost grip with reality in the same way that people on the left have Trump derangement syndrome and are not existing in reality? People on the right that got sucked into this conspiracy theory are also not existing in reality. And both of those two things can be true at the same time. And yet, this woman who's holding a stand with Trump sign, there is no indication that she is part of the conspiracy theory. This woman wearing an American flag and giving a peace symbol, there is no evidence that she is part of any sort of conspiracy theory. What they're trying to do is talk about the conspiracy theory and then put photos of like average white women that aren't doing anything wrong, that are holding up a sign and giving a peace symbol and saying they must be evil conspiracy theorists too. Look, they look just like you. They look like normal women. They look like normal women, but they are all crazy and they're all white supremacists because they support Donald Trump. Despite the participation of Babbitt and others, there's been a tendency to view the riot as largely male dominated and indeed to erase the presence of women in white supremacy throughout history. Well, kind of like the left wanting to erase the presence of women in everything, including women in sports, as it turns out. There has been a tendency from colonial periods to the present to position white women as perpetual victims in spite of the evidence to the contrary, Jones Rogers said, but ignoring the fact that women have long been perpetrators of white supremacy up to and including violence will hamper any effort to truly fight it. When we discount those women and the often violent and brutal roles that these women play, Jones Rogers said, we neglect and we negate the impact of their activities have on their victims. If, by contrast, we as a society can reckon with the way that white women have been not just beneficiaries, but designers of the system of white supremacy, she said, we will be better able to dismantle the systems and to address the ways in which the system has really pervaded all of our lives. First, they came after white men. Now they're coming after the ladies. Such as it is. So what did you guys think of that article? Chat in. Was that some crazy shit or what? I'm sorry. Vox is crazy. I actually have another article pulled up here from Vox. I have this one. Trump's Twitter and Facebook bans are working, in which what they talk about is since Trump got banned, here I'll find the headline here. I won't read the whole thing. According to Signal Labs, which the Washington Post reported on Saturday, online misinformation around election fraud plunged 73% in the week-long period following Twitter's decision to ban Trump on January 8th. Yes, when you ban mass quantities of people for expressing a dissident opinion, that tends to suppress people expressing that dissident opinion, as it turns out. Oh my, shocking revelation, Vox.